This is the Share a Voice podcast, presented by Look Left Marketing. In each episode, we talk to the smartest B2B leaders to tackle the most pressing marketing challenges. Here's your host, Look Left Senior Vice President, Jennifer Tanner.
I'm joined today by Ajay Khanna, three-time CMO with 20 years experience in B2B tech marketing. Welcome, Ajay.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Jennifer.
Now, Ajay, you and I had the privilege of working together during your time at our client Mesmo.
Yes.
I know that you're very well versed on the topic of analyst relations, something that you're interested in and have a lot of expertise. So I'd love to dig in.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Yes. I mean, it's kind of like an interesting topic for me as well, because the first I started interacting with industry analysts like, I think like 20 plus years back. At that time, I was in product management. But since then, it has been an area of interest, and I've been in touch with analysts and analyst relations for long, a long time now.
So from your
Yes.
perspective, what role does analyst relations play in B2B tech marketing?
I think having a good understanding of how the analyst relations work, I think that is important. But analysts do play a pretty important role in tech B2B market. I mean, they are the ones who are really monitoring various industry trends. They are helping you do market sizing. Their data is helping you to do, for example, TAM analysis and all. But also, depending on the analyst and the analyst firms, sometimes they are consolidating the market, and sometimes they are kind of like breaking the market into like various chunks. And I've seen that so many times through the last 20 years, where a new analyst comes in for an existing market and he wants to shake up the market a little bit, right? And for example, in one of my very early roles, we were like a business process management company, right? And there were like different types of MQs and waves at that time, one for like document-based, one for case management, one for like BPM, one for automation kind of a thing. And then they said, okay, no, we need to consolidate the same thing what we saw in MDM. There were like different type of MQs and waves for various types of data management, MDM, product, customers, and then there is a consolidation happening. And sometimes they break it up that, okay, the market and customers are looking for various different things. We need to break up this market so that we can monitor these different vendors a little bit more closely. And very recently, right, we saw the very strong market of like monitoring and APM being converted into observability platforms. So that kind of like shook a little bit market. And we saw a new market category being created on like telemetry pipelines in my last company. So I think they play a very big role in really giving you the picture of what is coming, what is developing, and also really translating this market adoption phase for the vendors, especially the new companies who are coming in with the new products. So they kind of like really provide that information. Yeah.
Yeah. So with all of your experience, have you found that there's a specific playbook for analyst relations? Any recommendations for marketers on how to approach this if maybe they're new to the area or
Yes.
looking to, improve?
Absolutely. I think playbook or maybe best practices, right? So it is analyst relations, right? And then a lot of time we forget the relations part of analyst relation, because it is relational, and the currency is information. So analysts are equally eager to learn about you, your company, your technology, and the information that you have, as you are keen to learn about their research and their view of the market, right? So always remember that this is a give and take. So definitely keep that part in mind, but then also really know the firm, right? Whether it is smaller boutique firms, whether it is Gartner, whether it is Forrester, whether it is ITC or Constellations or Intellect. I mean, there are so many companies out there, but understand what they stand for, what are their kind of like unique value, who the key analysts are, understand the analyst research focus. That is really important. And then you will find that there are certain firms and certain analysts who are willing to take risk on you, right? Who wants to shake a little bit market. And then there will be the analysts who are like very pragmatic, right? So they said, okay, this is how the market is defined, and this is how we're going to carry it forward for certain while and for some good reasons. but you need to understand their view of the market and how the analyst and their research agenda is really, really driving that. And then there are like various tools that are available to you, whether it is briefings, whether it is inquiries, whether these are strategies days or one-on-one sessions in the conferences. So there are many tools available to you, and be learn those tools, learn how to kind of like use this, what is the right way to kind of like use these to your benefit, and then put a plan together. So I think that those are the best practices, I would say.
Hey, that last part was really important, I think, especially to your point about it being a relationship in two ways, inquiries versus briefings.
Yes.
How do you approach those two things differently and what value can they bring?
Absolutely. So inquiries and briefings are two very different things, and within the analyst firm, they are treated differently as well. So product briefings or vendor briefings or company briefings are meant to be one-way dialogue, right? It's not a dialogue, it's one-way communication. So sometimes analysts will tell you that, okay, this is a briefing, I will listen, but I'm not going to answer any questions, right? Because I'm not prepared. So this is an opportunity for you to really tell the analysts or update them about your product, about the company and all the updates, and they will take notes, and sometimes they will share across with their peers and their colleagues. Inquiries, on the other hand, is a two-way dialogue, right? So where you bring in your questions and the analyst is prepared to answer your questions, whether those are about product or pricing or packaging or competitive. So a lot of good interactions are happening. Also, you need to understand that how are analysts getting credited, right? So mostly analysts don't get credit for briefings; they get credit for inquiry calls. so, so, so it is important to kind of like regularly have those inquiry calls, and then also for inquiry calls, send them stuff in advance. Send them your one-page document, or send them few slides or whatever you want to talk in advance, like 2 weeks in advance, so that they are prepared to have that conversation, and they really like that part. And I would say that there is kind of like a method to straddle these. So you get a research, you do an inquiry call, and then you follow it up with a briefing. So you need to kind of like make those patterns to have that continuous and connected communications with them. So yes, so both are valuable, both are useful, but they serve very different purpose. And in fact, most of the firms will document all the inquiries happening, whether it is through the vendors or their end clients where they provide advisory services. And you can ask your reps to tell you that how many times in inquiry calls they mentioned your company name. So that is a very valuable data about market share as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now the big question, money.
Money.
What
Yes.
role does money play in terms of analyst relations? Is it pay to play?
I've had this discussion so many times, and every time I have to educate like my groups or people within my organization or any other, it's always a lively discussion. Look, they are for-profit business, but I strongly believe this is not pay to play, and I have like good reasons for that. First of all, most of the analyst firms will have very strong mechanisms in place to make sure that that does not happen, right? So they have rules, regulations, and they have like a huge reputation to to kind of like to defend. And so that expecting that you went from like a silver to gold to platinum sponsor in a show will help you move your dot in a wave or MQ, that is not going to happen, because those are different organizations.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen, right? And secondly, within organizations, every research work goes through peer reviews, and then they have like escalation paths. They have ombudsmen that you can go to challenge certain things, so that there is a process around that. So another thing which kind of like, if you allow me to be a little bit facetious here, so think about it, right? So they are providing advisory services to companies like Chevrons and Pfizer's and Bank of America's and Visas. And if you are like 20 million ARR company, buying a more seat will not influence their advice to these big companies. Right? So if you take the big picture, that will not make any difference, right? So you should just take that off the conversation. The conversation should be that how are we using our budget and these relationship to meet our goals, right? So am I using this budget for research services? Am I using this budget for demand generations? And then there are like products they have which are paid products, right? You can have certain things like total economic impact analysis or case studies that they will do on your behalf, but it will be clearly mentioning that it is sponsored by blah blah blah. So those are those products, and you can do that and use those as well. So they're like paid products, but I don't think that it will impact their advisory much with money. But of course, you have better relationships with them. You provide more information about your company, your product. It will make them more knowledgeable to talk more confidently about you.
Absolutely. So these engagements can be pretty expensive, even at the base level for some of the top tier
Yes,
firms.
yes.
Do you have any tips for maybe smaller companies or startups for like when and why a company should take that first leap when to make the investment?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, just kind of like reminding everyone that I'm not sure whether everyone knows, you don't have to be subscribed to their research services for product briefings, right? So you can go to anybody's website and request a product briefing. You go to LinkedIn, you can connect with them and start sharing your information. And more likely than not, they will be open to take like 1 or 2 briefings. And because they want to learn about the market, they want to learn about what are the new things that are happening. So again, it is like give and take of information, right? So analysts will be really happy to take those calls. Of course, they have their own limit of how much they can do in a calendar month or a week, but they will be doing that. And then you will have other opportunities to meet with them. For example, having one-on-one in various conferences, right? A lot of them will be at various conferences, whether it is KubeCon or other industry conferences. Find an opportunity to meet with them. And then you don't have to kind of go for like big firms to start with. If you are just going into market, you need help with messaging. You need help with like demand generation. Go to some of these very smart and influential independent analysts, right? And I have worked with them in the past, and I still do work with them. They will give you guidance on how to kind of like really approach the market and get to the next step. And then will be a time when you are ready for your first relationship with a bigger firm. And again, even in their firm, you discuss what your objectives are. This is what we want to achieve, and make sure that you are making full use of that relationship.
Absolutely. So question, what
Yes.
is the hardest part that you found about analyst relations?
Hardest part in analyst relations, so some things that you have to do, right? Build the relations, right? And that takes effort, that takes time, that takes really building your story and communicating that story regularly with them. So it is something that you just have to do. And sometimes the hard part is that you are in an industry which is already really kind of like an established industry, right? There are already so many vendors. It is kind of like crowded industry, and you have a new product which has like different perspective on that industry, and you want to kind of like penetrate into that, and you want to kind of like get into an MQ or a way which has been there for like last 15 years, right? That is a very hard task. And for that, you cannot just give up, right? So it's still like really communicating with them year after year after year, making sure that you are providing your point of view. And in one of my companies, it took me almost like 3.5 years of continuously building those relationships before we were added as a dot in an MQ. But it was kind of like important for us to really bring our view to the market that yes, market is changing. Our customers are doing these kind of use cases. The other products or the current way you are describing the capabilities in the market is not addressing those kind of use cases. And then they will kind of like hear from the customer, hear from the market, and make those changes. So sometimes it is easy, and because the market is new and they're all new vendors and they are also trying new things, but sometimes it is hard when you are getting into like a really established market as a new vendor.
So it sounds like going into a more established market and finding your place is actually more difficult than like category creation.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Uh, So, any big wins you want to share or lessons learned?
Yes. Big wins. No, I think I've been fortunate enough and lucky enough to kind of like have good relations with the analysts, and then on the way had significant wins, right? Even from the very first company where I first interacted with the analysts, and and we were like leaders in waves and MQs for like 3 to 4 years consecutively. So that was like really proud moment for us. In one of the companies, we just started our new product, which was like in service experience management space, and the new MQ was coming in. So we helped the analysts define the whole MQ, what it should be. And when the new MQ came in, we were the leaders in theirs. And also, like, I mean, throughout the places, the last one which I mentioned, which took me like more than 3 years to get a place in MQ, that was a win as well. But again, like, so you need to understand where the market is, where the analysts are coming from, and some analysts will take a bet on you, who are like more risk taking, or who are kind of like uh, have a different look in the market, forward-looking analysts, and then there will be the pragmatic ones, right? So you need to understand that what their objective is and how you can really engage with them, and then show up in a right way.
What's the best way to find those analysts if that's what you're looking for? Someone who is more forward looking or willing to take risks? Is it the questions that you're asking? Is it asking your peers? Is it research behind the scenes?
Uh, all of them. You need to understand that what the analyst is researching about. They are publishing those planned research, but they're also writing blogs. They are also doing conference speaking. They are also are on social media. See what they're talking about, what excites them. I think that is a good way to have an understanding, but also kind of having one-on-one conversations with them, right? That what are the things that they can that really that can kind of like really excite them and bring you in that conversation. So like just having like close relationship with them from on a regular basis will give you certain ideas. Okay, these analysts are more open to new ideas, and these analysts are saying that, okay, currently this is what the market is, this is what my customers are looking for, and this is what we are going to write about, and you will get those insights.
Okay, yeah, that's super helpful. So, for companies that have maybe more established analyst relations programs, maybe they're looking to audit or reevaluate their strategy. They want to get
Hmm.
the most ROI in 2025. Do you have any recommendations for maybe a way to take a step back and look at things in a different way?
Yes, sure. So a big secret is your account manager is your big friend. And we kind of like have so much focus on the analyst that we do not really leverage our account managers, and they can do and make a lot. They can help you a lot, right? So really make sure that you are having your regular monthly or like every other month meetings with your account managers, right? Because they can get you insights about like what is the research agenda, right? And what are how the inquiry calls are happening. Get some of the data around that. But not only that, uh, you should not be just briefing your analysts, but you should also be kind of like doing similar kind of like briefings to your account managers, telling them, okay, for this year or for this quarter or for this half of the year, these are our company priorities, right? So maybe we are going to new industries, maybe we are going to new geographies, maybe we are trying to find new pricing or packaging. They will tell you who are the analysts that you should be talking to, right? These are the analysts that you should be speaking with. These are the analysts who have written about certain things, and they can bring back tons of information which will help you navigate your path through this, right? And then they will help you really plan out that, okay, you should be doing inquiry first, or you should be doing briefing first, and how you kind of like really engage with them, and what should go first, what should come next. So having that engagement with your reps or AEs is really valuable. And then you start planning out that, okay, this is my goal, this is what I want to achieve, and then with all the tools in my hand, whether those are briefing tools, whether those are inquiry tools, whether those are SaaS days, whether it is one-on-one conferences, how am I going to put together an analyst plan for remainder of the year? And put this plan together and then do the ROI, that how many times you were mentioned in inquiry calls and how many times you showed up in certain reports, how many briefings you did, what came out of those briefings. Ask your customers and new prospects, right? So how did they hear about you, right? Sometimes you will say, okay, no, such and such analyst asked me to go and talk to you, and I've seen it so many times. And if you ask them, say, no, such and such analyst asked me to kind of talk to you. So start kind of capturing all the data and then start planning out. So I think make sure that you are gathering all the data, putting some plan together, and approach this thing in a little bit more systematic and structured way.
I think that's super helpful. Well, this has been a really great conversation, Ajay. I appreciate your time. One last question. If our listeners could take one action today, what do you recommend they do?
I think the one action is make sure that you have your goals together. You understand your company goals and align them with your analyst relation goals, and then have a conversation with your account manager to see that how we can achieve that goal together, and they will help you out.
That account manager sounds like a secret weapon.
For me, it has been. And yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ajay. If people want to find you, could they find you on LinkedIn? Anywhere?
Absolutely. Yes, connect me with on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to chat more if you have more questions around that.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
This has been the Share a Voice podcast, presented by Look Left Marketing. Subscribe today at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more B2B marketing insight, visit us at lookleftmarketing.com.